Thank you. If everybody could take a seat. Thank you for joining us tonight. And as we get started with our program, I'd like to introduce Reverend Dr. Terry Richardson, our host for tonight.
Good evening and welcome to each and every one of you. As I look across, I see some very familiar faces and I see some new ones. I am the Reverend Dr. Terry Richardson. I have the pleasure of being the pastor and serving here at the First Baptist Church of South Orange. I want to officially welcome you to the Attorney General's Trust Commission listening session. I was contacted by the General's office and presented the opportunity to host. I wasn't convinced until I went on the website to read about the mission statement, and I was so intrigued to learn that in a time of divisiveness that the Attorney General's office is really speaking about uniting us and being transparent in terms of how the Department of Law and Public Safety can come up with thoughts and ideas in ways and to unify our great state of New Jersey. So it is my privilege and pleasure to welcome each and every one of you. And now, without any further ado, because I was only given 30 seconds, I'd like to introduce to you none other than your state Attorney General. Please put your hands together and welcome Matthew J. Plackett.
Thank you, Pastor. First of all, this is your church, so you can have as much time as you like. If you want to get up at any point, time limits will not apply to you, which I know, you never know when you tell a pastor that, how long you're going to get. I'm going to be brief because I just want to get this started, but I certainly want to thank Pastor Richardson, firstly, for welcoming us to this wonderful church, and I want to thank our commissioners who have joined us here, Hetty Rosenstein, who we made commute a very long way for this meeting as South Orange resident, and I think most people, Hetty's reputation as somebody who has championed good government, both as a leader in labor and as a leader just in our state for many, many years, it goes unquestioned, and I'm just really grateful to her for joining us both on the commission, and I'll talk about the commission in a moment, and here tonight. Sue Altman, who is here in her personal capacity and is similar to Hetty. I think you're going to hear this about all three of our commissioners, just somebody who has unquestioned integrity and who has made it a career of standing up for doing the right thing, even when it's not easy, and someone who I've long admired and looked up to, and I'm grateful that her insight is going to be included in this work. And then Ron Chen, who, notwithstanding that he has one fault, which is that he never says no to a free board or commission that he's asked to serve on. Somebody who has been in New Jersey sort of synonymous with good government and building trust with the folks that we serve. First public advocate, Dean of Rutgers Law School, and just an all-around good person and good human being, on top of being a brilliant lawyer in his day job. So just really grateful to Ron as well. This commission was born out of, I think, something that, or a recognition that many of us has probably had, but certainly I've had, and I know our team, many of whom are here, had about addressing what I think is the core challenge in many ways we face in this country and certainly in this state, which is a deep lack of trust in the folks that serve the public. There was a poll in the New York Times not that long ago that said the biggest threat to American democracy is not Russia or China or any foreign actor. It's just ordinary corruption. And that was the number one answer that Americans said. What is the biggest threat to our democracy? And this sense that the folks in power work for themselves and not for you all. And it was sort of reinforced to me, and I spoke about this a little bit right after the election, when I meet every month with a group of students in Trenton Central High School. And these are 16, 17, 18-year-old students. Actually, only one was 18 because there was one person who was able to vote. And we talked about the election, not about who should have won or anything, just sort of what they felt about government. And overwhelmingly, the sense of these young students was that, look at what I just said, government was working for themselves and not for them. And it struck me that that's not how I would have thought about government when I was 17. Certainly not if I was sitting across from an attorney general, though I definitely didn't know what an attorney general was then. Not sure I do now either. But it speaks to a larger problem. And so I said we were going to form this commission. And all too often when you see commissions get formed, they sort of exist in perpetuity. Like they're just there and they keep going. And I said this was not going to be one of those. We were going to set sort of an immediate shelf life on it. We're going to get together. We're going to bring folks from all walks of the state, people with tremendous credibility, like the folks sitting up here, who are doing this for no reason other than that they believe in the mission. And we're going to identify ways that we can help build trust between the people we serve, which are ultimately you all, and the government that's supposed to serve them. And then we're going to issue a report, and we're going to be done. And will be our job and folks in other positions to implement those recommendations. And that was the goal was to get that done either later this summer or latest early the fall. And that work has been ongoing now for several months. I'm tremendously grateful to the commission. And as part of that, we made a commitment that we would let folks from the communities that we serve have a chance to be heard. And I think that's incredibly important. I think it's important that we listen. So tonight, after I'm done speaking, which will be in about 30 seconds, will be to make sure that we are listening to you. I will say this, I can't promise, I would never promise, I certainly can't hear a promise that we can fix everything, do everything, be everything, nor will I promise that we're perfect. That is not what I'm saying. But I do think it is important in this day and age that if we don't listen and respond to the concerns of the residents of this state, of our communities, in a state that unfortunately has at times a deserved reputation for insiders getting treated differently, then we do that at our own peril to our democracy. And I think I think what we're doing tonight is that important. So I'm really grateful that you all are coming out on a rainy, I've lost track of days, Thursday evening. And I'm grateful that you're showing up and doing what is really the most important work that we can do, which is making ourselves heard. So with that, I will turn it over to Patricia, who is going to do, as she always does, an incredible job moderating. You've never seen a better moderator, I assure you. We've been in many forums. And she is going to make sure that we stay on task and on time and follow all the relevant rules. So Patricia, with that, turn it over to you.
I was told how to do it, but it's tight. Good evening, everyone. Okay. Okay, thank you, Attorney General Platkin. Thank you, Reverend Dr. Richardson. And I'd just like to say welcome to everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. I am proud to serve as your facilitator to this public listening session, and it's hosted by the New Jersey Office of the Attorney General and the Trust Commission. So before we begin, I'd like to go over a few housekeeping notes. First, you will see we have an ASL interpreter. She is signing right now. If you need her to continue, please raise your hand at this time. Seeing none, she's going to be sitting over on my right, your left, and if someone comes in and she's needed, we will bring Lorelei back. Thank you. All right. All right. Tonight's session, we are going to fight today. Tonight's session is being recorded to ensure the commission can accurately reflect and incorporate public feedback into its discussions. If you'd like to make a criminal or civil referral or are seeking assistance regarding a specific matter that you or someone you know may be facing, you may step to the side and the staff from the Attorney General's office will assist you. And to the side, we mean this side, my right, your left, and we have staff here that will escort you. You can also visit our Trust Commission webpage, which is njoag.gov/trust, where links are available to submit referrals. For other questions, feedback, or concerns not related to tonight's session, please contact our Office of Constituent Services on our website at njoag.gov. We ask that all comments remain respectful and focused on the themes of trust, transparency, equity, and public accountability. Okay, we're here tonight because your input matters. Representatives from the commission want to hear directly from you, your experiences, concerns, and ideas to help shape a government we can all trust. This is the commission's final listening session. We appreciate all who have come out to speak on this topic and those who have come out to listen. For those who signed up to speak, you've been assigned a number based on the order in which you registered. Can I just see the hands of those that are numbers 1 through 5? Okay, as I'm talking, I'm gonna ask you all to just come to the front row, please. And this is what I will do every so often. I'll ask the next 5 people to come. So while I'm talking 1 through 5 in this row, it's fine to move while I'm talking. We will call up speakers in small groups, just like this one, to approach the microphone. When your group is called, please come forward and have a seat in the front. Please give your remarks one at a time, one person at the mic at a time, which is over here. If you have written testimony, you may submit it to our staff. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, all right. 5, right? I see 6, but okay, okay. All right, it's gonna be that great kind of night, that's all right. If you have written testimony, you may submit it to our staff. Don't give us your only copy. If you need to keep your copy and send it to us later, come to our staff and we'll let you know how to provide that for us. After you've given your remarks, you're welcome to either proceed to our holding room, again, which is this way, where officials are available for follow-up questions and additional conversation, or you may return to your seat to listen to the rest of the session. You may also leave the session. We ask that all speakers keep their comments to 3 minutes. 3 minutes. 3 minutes. So everyone has an opportunity to be heard. Time cards will be presented by our timekeeper at 1 minute, 30 seconds, and end. And then you'll hear a little bell from the other timekeeper down at the bottom. All right. To maintain a safe and constructive environment, we ask that speakers refrain from using profanity, hate speech, and sharing explicit or graphic descriptions. If needed, moderators may step in to redirect or conclude remarks. Thank you again for being part of this important dialogue. With that, we're going to get started. So whoever is number 1 out of the 5, plus 1. So we're gonna do the number 1, and you'll start right over here at this microphone. Hold on just a minute. Can we have a assistant here? Because I couldn't hear you very well. Try again. Hello. We heard that. Now we just have to adjust.
Hello?
That's fine.
All
You
right,
can just adjust it to your comfort level.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Loretta Rivers, and I'm here because I stepped into this year's primary for the first time, running for the New Jersey Assembly seat for my district. And not because I have deep pockets or the backing of the powerful political machines, but because I believe in the power of service, integrity, and the people over politics. As a first-time candidate, I quickly learned that our political system isn't always designed to welcome new voices, especially those who are running to make change, not to maintain the status quo. I ran against entrenched incumbents who had access to decades of financial support, political networks, and institutional endorsements. While I stood canvassing, so I pivot to knocking on doors to make my face known. They constantly use their deep pockets to run campaigns on a daily basis. That is not nice slander. This isn't just about one race. It's about the state of our democracy. When elections are determined by who raised the most money instead of who can make the most impact, we silence the voices of those who actually live the struggle they want to solve. But I believe we can change that. We can level the playing field by pushing for a campaign finance reform. We can create public financing options for local and state races so people like me who care more about the neighborhoods than political favors have a real shot to win. We need more transparency about where campaign money comes from, and we must reduce the influence of big money donors and party bosses who handpick candidates before a single vote is cast. This is not me about sour grapes because I lost by a little bit of votes, but it's about fairness, access, and the right of everyday people to serve their communities. I may not have won the race this time, but I'm still in the fight for a system where the best ideas, not the biggest checkbook, wins. Thank you for believing in the change, and thank you for standing with those who refuse not to be silenced. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rivers. And you can go just for, okay. Number 2, please.
Good evening, and thank
Good
you for
evening.
coming. I am here because I do believe that you're genuine, as am I. I just wanted to have you have a face with a name. I have been speaking with the case manager to give her some background as to my story. I'm Eve Morovsky, a 60-year resident of Maplewood, New Jersey. I was evicted from my home due to a proven fraudulent property tax lien foreclosure. I was kicked to the curb with stage 4 cancer. I tried to get in touch with local officials and state officials, and I have a file about 2 inches thick of the people that did not pay any mind. They were able to sneak it through during the pandemic, and again, I have a written trail of this. I didn't bring notes because I could be up here for an hour with my frustration of not being acknowledged. And this is a problem. People with influence, with power, the property developers, speculators, are able to victimize people who are experiencing even temporary financial hardship. I have a prestigious MBA, great resume, great references, of which I'm honored to have Pastor Richardson as one of them. I've been very involved in my community. I've had rewards as a reflection of my commitment to it. I should not have been treated as I was. The real estate developer got $719,000 for my home when he flipped it to a real estate developer who then flipped it for $1.3 million. My equity was paid because this was my parents' legacy to me. Immigrants and World War II veterans. My father went through a concentration camp, my mother to a Soviet gulag. I came along in their 40s, I'm told a pleasant surprise. But this is what they wanted to leave to me. This was their American dream and my legacy. And now the property speculators were able to steal it. On top of that, my personal property was vandalized and stolen. And because I fought so hard for my home, I was arrested. I was jailed, again, going through chemotherapy, and they have never been held accountable. So priorities need to be recognized. Care for the little guy. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Murkowski. Speaker number 3. Hello. Good to see you, Ms. Cookie.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to try to talk fast so I could get my 3 minutes in. Attorneys General, I want to first start by saying thank you for showing up to our community. I want to say thank you for leading this fight nationwide. We are watching, and we appreciate you. I want to say thank you for showing up. I want to say you know better than anybody that we don't always agree, but you still show up, and I thank you for that. Ron Chen, I remember you from the days of Hispanic Directors Association. By the way, currently I am the Outreach Director for the C3 Latino Action Network Foundation and a founding member of the C4 Criminal Justice Reform Chair, no longer there. The recommendations that I would offer you is the portals and the directives. They seem to have almost been created and invented by you. And who knows who's going to be there when you leave. And I don't know how much you can memorialize or institutionalize those things and make that technology work much better for the public trying to navigate through those systems, because that's very important. I also believe that probably between you and Attorney General Gruhl, you guys came up with the plan of Office of Public Integrity and Accountability. Also something that New Jersey didn't have before, and something very important to memorialize or institutionalize in a way that it can live beyond us and give it more strength. I want to thank you for trying to take as much of the funding as you could into state funding for the community street teams. I know that they're struggling and fighting right now, but they are very, well, they're not safe, but they're better off than other states, and we all know that. They still need help. I want to say that I served on the Wealth Disparities Task Force and the Criminal Subcommittee, and I want to thank Governor Murphy because he said that, as Sheila Oliver, may she rest in peace, stated, this is not supposed to be a report that sits on a shelf, and that the task force has reconvened to look at those recommendations to see how many of them we can get in place before these 8 months is up. I also want to thank you for being a partner in the Community and Corrections Working Summit Report 2025, in which Black and brown advocates in the state of New Jersey created an action agenda for the criminal legal system 5, 10, 15, 20 years ahead, which we released last Wednesday, which will be on our website. We want to thank you and all the state departments for not imposing your opinions. You allowed us, and you gave us the faith and trust to create a report that will really map out for the next 20 years that agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cookie. Speaker number 4.
Good evening. I'm Stacy Berger. In my volunteer free time, I'm the chair of the Piscataway Progressive Democratic Organization and an elected member of the Middlesex County Democratic Organization, and I talk really fast, so I'm going to try to get through 3 minutes. Bear with me. As some of my neighbors, and it's good to see so many of you. Hi, Ron. As my neighbors testified at Tuesday's hearing, there are numerous examples of malfeasance, illegal, and unethical actions by public officials in Piscataway and in our surrounding area. Even with the 2 hearings, we simply don't have enough time to discuss them all, so I would really urge the commission to provide a way for people to submit electronic comments and consider having 1 virtual hearing at least. I'm going to focus tonight on the politicization of our election system and the ways in which our local political machine has used nonpartisan mechanisms to advantage themselves. In 2019, I ran for a county committee for the first time, and in that election, we saw improper credentialing of candidates as challengers, poll workers looking the other way when election laws were violated, or violating laws themselves, including the mayor's wife and our current council president, who were both running for committee, handling voter sign-in materials, and a poll judge telling poll workers not to hand out provisional ballots because that's just something Stacy Berger tells people to do. We filed a detailed written report with then Attorney General Gruel's office and the Secretary of State. No one has ever responded to our concerns. I'm providing that as part of my written testimony this evening. All of that is documented and has video evidence. In 2018, I ran for the Ward 3 council seat in Piscataway and came up about 150 votes short, not too bad for a first-time candidate. In January of 2022, I announced my intention to run again for the same seat. However, my ward and my district were obviously gerrymandered to keep me out of that seat and to make it much harder for me to win and for my neighbors to vote for me. Despite only needing to move 900 voters in the township of Piscataway between Ward 3 and Ward 4, according to the first redistrict commission meeting, the redistricting commission voted to move 18,000 voters out of our town. They moved the entire town about like a quarter this way. I need a whiteboard. And in contrast to the public statements from commission members that they take pains to minimize disruption for voters specifically, and initially considering and commenting favorably upon a map that would have done just that, at their second meeting, they subsequently introduced and approved a map that moved nearly 25% of the town's voters. The line for the new Ward 3 was literally drawn around my house. I have maps to submit as part of evidence, cutting me off from my old neighborhood and forcing me to run in an almost entirely new district. The rewarding commission was not forthcoming with information about how the maps were created to produce this, and some maps, including those adopted, were not produced until publicly adopted, voted on and adopted, were not produced until we threatened to sue. Commission members admitted to sharing these maps with municipal party chairs, but we did not see them for weeks. The consulting firm working for the county, Remington and Bernick, is a major donor to numerous incumbent Democratic officials, including my own state senator, Bob Smith, who received about $29,000 at that point in 2022. Once we obtained the maps,
Thank you, Ms. Berger.
okay, I just need to say one thing. Once we obtained the maps, we found a list of other residents who were also placed on the map. They were not just incumbents, they were just people who live in town. I'm submitting all the maps and I'm happy to talk to people about that.
Thank you, Ms. Berger.
I'd like to know how my name got on a map.
Thank you, Ms. Berger. And if you'd like to, again, as we, speaker number 5. Okay, well, you get 3 minutes.
No, they told us we each gets 3.
I'll ask for, you said you're 6?
No, we've been in court for 13
Okay,
years.
hold on, you're number 6?
There are 6 minutes.
7, 8, and 9, if you would please come forward as well. Number 5, please go ahead. But, what, no, I don't, well,
Yes, it's one person at a time at the mic. One person at a time at the mic.
Sure, well, I'll speak first and he's.
There we go. And then
That's fine.
Okay.
Transition. Thank you.
My name is Mia Moore, and I am
Okay.
here to speak about corruption and gross misconduct my family has been subjected to in New Jersey courts for over 13 years. The cry for rule of law and due process is loud in our country now, and those cries are mine. They're unheard in New Jersey, where judges brutally abuse their power. For us, the law is meaningless. I'm sorry, I'm crying. Divorcing an abusive man puts you at grave risk of losing custody of your most precious children in poverty. It is not the man, it is the corrupt use of power of the courts that do this to women and children. I got 13 years. I'm gonna make this as quick as possible. I can't begin to convey the horror that has reigned on my family, but here's a sample. And I gotta say, first of all, I have no trace of neglect or abuse or any problem, alcohol, substance, behavior, none. Because you wouldn't imagine something like this would happen to anybody unless something was seriously wrong with them, and you would be wrong. Nancy Civilli ended my parental rights and my son Owen's education. She ordered him to attend the only high school in the nation that prohibited his mother from getting a report card or speaking with his teacher. I was working as a teacher, a public school teacher at that time. She ignored the law. The best interest of the child means nothing. She ignored Owen's testimony. She's issued 2 bench warrants for my arrest. Police refused to arrest me. She has ordered tens of thousands of dollars to custody evaluators, GALs, lawyers. Our house was lost in foreclosure. My ex has filed over 85 motions in 13 years. He wins them all 6
Ms. Moore, here's what we're going to do. That's the 3 minutes. So here's what I'd like to do. Since you're both together, don't leave, but I would like to hear number 6 from your son, and then to tell your full story, I want you to go with the staff so you can take everything so that your full story can be heard, okay?
I just want,
But
I'm gonna say, on the other hand, I have just one more thing to say. Now that you think this is for past, this is going on today. Last year,
Okay.
Judge Marcellus
Start with 3.
Matos Wilson retroactively emancipated him, making me pay back years of child support. I mean, there's no issue of paternity. I mean, people must think, what's going on here? No, you just pay back all the child support here. Like, he's unworthy of child support. The lies that have been told about my family are crushing. And I've got to say, one of the things, I don't have solutions for this because this is such a corruption on a deep level. But one of the things I do want to say really quickly is that New Jersey structure allows for this. Every judge in this state is appointed. There is no way, the appeals are appointed judges. It's a closed system. This is not democratic at all. And the judges in this are not accountable to the people on any level. And that's all you can speak.
thank you, Ms. Moore.
Hello, my name's Owen, and as someone who's just 24 years old.
Just pull it closer to you,
Okay.
the whole thing.
Hello,
Yep,
my name's Owen, and as someone who's just 24 years old, I've been in front of New Jersey Family Court more than I could ever imagine. And I'm here to tell you it's riddled with corruption. I've had to testify, I've had to beg for things that the law should allow me to have. My abusive father has been granted the ability to not pay for my college tuition. I've had to take on thousands of dollars of debt, despite New Jersey law saying he should have to pay. I've had judges lie on me, say during testimony, I've read using my finger left to right like a child would. And when we ask for the recordings to prove this as a lie, it's denied. They've been trying to bury us for years. And they ignore laws completely. My father has also been granted the ability to no longer pay child support. My mother's been ordered to pay years of child support back. And we fought as hard as we can, we're still fighting. But we need someone in a position of power, someone like the Trust Commission, to step in and stop the corruption that plagues these courts, these New Jersey family courts. Thank you.
thank you, Owen. Ms. Moore, we're going to have you escort so you can tell the rest of your story. Number 7, please. You can give it afterwards. That's fine. And it's not your only copy, right?
Correct.
Okay, yep, right afterwards is, oh,
Attorney General, I'm a big fan, by the way. So, of everything you do, I'm a big fan. My name is Mark Bloomberg. I'm a resident of West New York in Hudson County. I'm here to speak to you about missteps by the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, their lack of accountability, and lack of enforcement, specifically in regard to an issue in Braddock Park in Hudson County, New Jersey. It's a county park which is located within an overburdened community. This has been brought to the Attorney General in the past, as advised by the New Jersey Appleseed Foundation to speak here today. It's about the diversion of public parkland for non-recreational purposes. In 1999 and 2000, so this goes over 25 years, the town of North Bergen introduced and then withdrew plans to build a high school in Braddock Park, despite it being Green Acres encumbered land. They learned that it was encumbered, and that was part of the reason why they withdrew the plan. Yet 1 year later, in 2001, North Bergen illegally installed temporary, in quotes, preschool trailers in the park. They didn't ask any permission from the DEP or any governing body. The trailers are still there 25 years later. The DEP has repeatedly failed to fulfill the goals of Green Acres and preserve the space. They failed to properly inspect the park and other related sites. They have not enforced deadlines for removal of the trailers, nor have they enforced any penalties for noncompliance. Instead, they have bent to the will of North Bergen Mayor and former Senator Nick Sacco, who is also a long-time member of the Board of Education. They're now allowing them to apply for a permanent diversion of that parkland. They're going to build a permanent school on the site, again, taking away land from an overburdened community. I have information here on multiple failed inspections. Is that 1 minute to go or one? Okay. On multiple failed inspections, multiple deadlines missed, et cetera, et cetera. So no fines imposed. With this impending application that's going on, the permanent diversion, we have detailed a lot of anomalies, a lot of just very questionable things that are being ignored regarding soil contamination, false enrollment numbers. They're submitting different enrollment numbers to the DEP than they are to the Department of Education. And so part of what I'm asking the Trust Commission to do here is, well, I want to warn that this sets such a bad precedent for taking away public lands. If this is approved, essentially any municipality in New Jersey can look at it and say, hey, look at what North Bergen did. How can you deny this application?
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you very
Bloomberg.
much.
Number 8, good evening.
Hi, my name's Stan Varon. I live in Maplewood. I work in South Orange. I'd say I was glad to see you all here, except I wish Sue Altman, instead of being here, was in Washington in Congress. I wanted to ask a question. I don't know if you're asking questions. I'd like to thank General Plotkin. I understand you call the Attorney General General. That's what I heard. Thank him for the Immigrant Trust Directive, but I wanted to ask him what he's doing to make sure that's enforced. I understand there's a lack of enforcement. I understand that there are sheriffs and cops or officers in certain counties south of here that are not following the directive. So I wanted to ask him what he's doing to enforce the directive, and I want to ask whoever, well, we think it's necessary, and I'm on the Immigrant Rights Committee of SOMA Action. I'm only speaking for myself. Isn't it necessary that we pass the Immigrant Trust Act so that we have a law and not just the whim of the next Attorney General? I don't know if, Mr. Plotkin, if you want to answer the question about the enforcement in the other counties.
We enforce regularly through, first of all, we're defending the Immigrant Trust Directive in court and have successfully defended it. We enforce the Immigrant Trust Directive on particular cases if they come up, or on departments, depending on if there are issues. We do regular trainings. After your time, because I don't want to use up all your time, if you feel free to make our team aware of what cases you're referencing, and we'll be happy to look into it.
Yeah, I don't know the specifics. It's something.
But to the extent anyone does, they should report them to us, and we absolutely do look at it. And look, the directive is a directive. It's upheld. I recognize fully why people would want to codify that into statute. And ultimately, while I defer to the legislature, I do think that makes some sense.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Mr. Barron. We'll take number 9. Good evening, and I'll ask that 10, 11, 12, and 13 come forward.
Hi, my name is Becky Shear, and I live in Maplewood. And I'd like to thank you for taking the time and effort to do this session. I really appreciate it. It's very much needed. My comment this evening is about state committee. So state committee members from each party are elected for a 4-year term on gubernatorial years. One of the things state committee members do is elect the state party chair, as well as to write the state party bylaws. And until this year, members of the state committee were elected by voters on their primary ballots. This all changed this year with the passage of the new ballot design bill, which, while imperfect, got rid of the county line. But one of the things that was inexplicably included in it was that state committee members would no longer be on voters' ballots and would instead be elected by members of each party's county committee in their respective county. So it's disturbing enough that this office was taken away from voters. This is not a time for our legislature to chip away at democracy, especially given what's happening nationally. But here we are. And since it was 4 years ago since state committee members were last elected, it's time to elect for this office once again. And this is what the new ballot design bill has to say. The members of the state committee shall be elected by the members of the county committee of the respective political parties at a time and in a manner to be determined by each respective political party and in accordance with the constitution and bylaws of such party. So the language in this bill leaves a lot of wiggle room for how this should actually be accomplished by the various county parties. And I can tell you that for the Essex County Democratic Committee, the current bylaws are from 2003, and they make no mention of how state committee members should be elected. I don't know if the Essex Dems have a constitution. I've never seen one. To be fair, it seems like for the most part, this has been happening a lot. This has been happening in our state. In some counties, state committee members were elected at their county convention this year. Other counties held a special election for their county committee members to vote. But it hasn't been the case here in Essex County, at least on the Democratic side. State committee members weren't elected during the Essex County Democratic Convention, and as far as I know, there hasn't been any special election for them. So this leaves me, and I guess others, with a lot of questions. Who currently serves on the state committee in Essex County, and when are they up for re-election? If someone wants to run for state committee without the party endorsement, how do they do this? When, how, even if, will these elections take place in Essex County? How will the results be shared or made public? And one question which I think may be applicable to your office, since it is in the legislation that state committee members be elected by county committee members. Is this something that your office is able to enforce, that the elections for state committee actually occurs in all counties? I'm not sure where else members of the public should go to make sure that this happens.
Thank you
so
Sharon.
much.
Thank you, and feel free to turn that in as well. Number 10, please. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Pat Miller, and I'm speaking on behalf of National Council for Severe Autism, the New Jersey chapter. NCSA was founded in 2018, and it is what has one goal: to push recognition, policy, and real solutions for those affected by severe autism, individuals, families, and their caregivers across the country. In New Jersey, our mission is really at the state level policy change, where we can make a direct impact on those who are most vulnerable and those who often don't have a voice to be able to advocate for themselves. We have great concerns about the ongoing crisis of abuse and neglect in New Jersey state licensed groups' homes that are funded by Medicaid. The lack of transparency and accountability in how abuse and neglect cases are handled in our state is deeply alarming. In the past decade, the state has ordered only a handful of companies to close unsafe homes or to pause acceptance of new residents. I'm not sure if you all saw the accounts and the reports in the Bergen County Record, but there are currently 9,848 people with developmental disabilities living in licensed state homes. There were 1,620 confirmed cases of medication errors, 180 cases of exploitation, and 2,400 cases of abuse, with over 120 deaths and 5,100 cases of neglect. The average number of deaths per year is approximately 170, and this number does not include the unsubstantiated deaths that were not investigated. The state investigates only 2% of roughly the 14,000 concerns that are reported every year. So just to be clear, we have 157,000 individuals with autism living in the state of New Jersey. 27% of them have severe autism. That is over 40,000 individuals with severe autism in the state of New Jersey. They require 24/7 lifelong supervision. They are like my son, who is 24, who cannot speak, who cannot read or write, doesn't understand danger, and really will never be able to have a competitive career where he can support himself. He is the face of Medicaid. And he is often the part of the autism spectrum that is forgotten or left out. Unlike most parents who can raise their children to be independent, we live with the burden of knowing that our children will never be able to care for themselves. We must find somebody else to turn the baton to, someone who will understand our children and provide consistent, compassionate, safe care. This crisis requires external accountability, and we are kindly requesting that come from the Attorney General's office, because right now, providers are absolutely investigating those cases themselves. And we can see we're not living in a safe space where any family or parents who have children like mine can die in peace one day. And so we have many recommendations, and I will give over the written testimony, but the two most
Thank you, Ms.
important,
Miller. Thank you.
include to have you guys be the outside investigators. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And as number 11, where is number 11? Right here? Okay, good evening. You can go to the mic, and then I'll ask numbers 12, 13, and 14 to come. Are you already here? 13, 14, what number are you? Okay, 13, 14 and 15, please, and 16. Okay, thank you. Good evening, number 11.
Thank you, Mr. Placken, for your work challenging certain lawless acts by the Trump administration. Thanks also for reminding state police to enforce speed limits after COVID. I guess it was mostly the New Jersey Comptroller's initiative, but if you were involved in exposing the street cop training scandal in 2021, thanks for that too. I appreciate your work to enforce law against everybody, including the powerful. That definitely earns my trust. Thanks for the gun violence interrupter programs. Collaborating with civil society and social justice groups definitely builds trust. But I'm here tonight to talk about citizen and consumer privacy. One reason citizens don't trust institutions is because institutions abuse that trust. Almost every day, we share information about ourselves with businesses and governments. More often these days, government and business just help themselves to that information without really even asking us. But even then, they do it for a specific purpose. Invariably, though, a couple things happen next. First, they take information collected for one purpose and use it for something else. And then they pass this information on to other parties, which exponentially increases the harm. This is deception. This is fraud. This is straight up lying. They're seen as just little white lies. It's just a little bit of information. The retailer is keeping prices low by monetizing your data. They're offering the perfect ad or recommending the right product. Or maybe they're offering some convenience. Easier to fill out that form or something because they've remembered what you filled out last time. But they're still lies. And when they're combined via computer networks, data brokers, and huge databases, these little lies add up to big privacy violations. It's gotten so bad that business and government and citizens all say, well, the privacy's gone anyway. What's one more little bit of information? But it matters a great deal who knows what. The first rule of holes is that when you're in one, stop digging. So I don't buy this, surrender attitude. Why is my car sending my GPS location to Toyota? And then General Motors is selling driver behavior data to insurance companies. Oh, sorry, we'll settle with the FTC. We won't do that for 5 years. 5 years? Why are you ever going to do that ever again? And why didn't some executives go to jail? The man who murdered the Minnesota legislator, Melissa Hortman, he used a data broker to look her up. Now, in New Jersey, we've got a wonderful new law called Daniel's Law. That's actually not so new, to protect certain public officials from exactly that kind of problem. But what about the rest of us? We don't build trust in government when officials get more privacy than citizens. And now we've got the wonderful new data protection law. It really is new. Thank you so much for this. It's a huge achievement. Many businesses aren't yet complying despite the years-long phase-in. But the key thing is that California has an entire agency dedicated to enforcing consumer privacy law.
Thank you,
New
Mr.
Jersey
Vitale.
needs this too. Please create a privacy agency.
Thank you, Mr. Vitale. We'll have number 13 at this time.
Good evening. My name is Stephanie Lawson Muhammad. I am a 20-year resident of New Jersey. I served here on the school board for South Orange, Maplewood, New Jersey for 6 years. I am a South Orange DIM. I am the chair of the Community Police Collaborative. I have a day job, but I am highly engaged in my community. I am part of Soma Action, but today I am here to represent part of the report from the New Jersey Reparations Council, upon which my husband, Khalil Gibran Muhammad, was one of the chairs. And they worked for 2 years on this set of recommendations with scholars and community members and faith leaders. They held 9 public sessions. So similar to you all as a commission, they were a council that worked outside of the state, actually sanctioning and requesting for this to happen, but have put an amazing report together, which includes a set of policy recommendations, which they call a blueprint for repair, addressing the harm, and empowering Black people to flourish. Policy proposals. There is a section on democracy, and I asked my husband, what can I come and tell this committee tonight from this section? So number one, I encourage all of you to download a free copy of this report. I encourage you to read it cover to cover, but I especially encourage you to look at the democracy section. I'm gonna just read the introduction, and I'm gonna go through quickly the summary of a couple of these policies. New Jersey has historically suppressed Black participation in the electoral process. In the aftermath of the Civil War, state lawmakers initially refused to ratify the 13th and 15th Amendment and rescinded the state's initial ratification of the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. Although New Jersey added a provision to the state constitution in 1947 prohibiting racial discrimination in the employment of any civil rights, it has nevertheless continued to diminish Black residents' political power by erecting obstacles to registering to vote, casting a ballot, and having that ballot counted. Politically, inequality compounds other forms of inequality by limiting Black people's ability to seek legislative redress. So I am going to share with you, number 7, restore the right to vote to incarcerated people. Number 9, enact same-day voter registration. Number 10, enact racial justice reforms for redistricting, including creation of an independent redistricting commission. Number 11, mandate paid time off to vote for all elections. Number 13, create a permanent office of the public advocate, and I call you to look at number 14 and number 15 as well, and let's get ranked choice voting.
Thank you, Ms. Lawson Muhammad. Thank you so much. That's hard to do in 3 minutes. Thank you so much. I'm going to ask number 14 to come up, and I'm also going to ask 15, 16, and 17 to come forward. Number 14, good evening.
I have a few questions to piggyback on what Stanley said about the Immigrant Trust Act. Actually last month, we had an attorney who works for a New Jersey nonprofit. I guess there are attorneys who work for immigrants to act as advocates for immigrants who've been taken to detention centers. She says that there's no communication with ICE anymore to these attorneys. They don't get a case list anymore of the people who have been taken into custody. She also said that the courts are no longer providing that information to them either, and so their resources are it's very difficult for them to find out who needs representation and when they need it. So she also commented that although there is the Immigrant Trust Directive, that it didn't seem to really be impactful for the immigrants, and that it was really necessary for this to be made into law. Just one comment about that, you know, I went to my local office, I'm from Union, and the person I spoke with who was the representative for my senator told me that it was like not, like people weren't interested in doing that. The representatives weren't interested in doing that. It was seen as just like sort of unnecessary. So I don't know, it just seems like we need some consistency here, and I really don't see the harm in putting it in law so that way it can actually be, number one, enforced. You know, if you break a law, it seems to me like there would be consequences for it, maybe stronger than a directive. I'm not really sure. It's not my specialty, but it seems like having a law to direct people to would be really impactful. Also concern about people like Alina Habba and the other judges that Donald Trump is appointing. I am concerned that she will not leave, that this is just a way to kind of shoo her in. You know, there are the other judge who was kind of given the right of way to go into. We're now fighting against that person in particular, so I want to know what you're going to do or what you can do about that to help us out. And then lastly, I just learned, because I Googled it, that your term is up with the governor's transition. So one, how likely is it that you'll be back for another term? Do you have any idea? If the election goes the right way, okay? If the election goes the right way, will you have another term? Do you know what Mikey Sherrill is planning on doing?
So on that note, thank you, Ms. Casanelli. And I just would like to remind everyone that this is a listening session, and so they're not going to be able to answer a lot of your questions, but you can email your questions. Our staff over here has cards that you can take on your way around, or you can raise your hand and get a card, and they'll have a place where you can email your questions, your testimony, and everything like that. Okay, we're doing well, everybody. I'm going to ask number 15 to come at this time. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Alfred Quan Hardy. I'm the Director of Recreation in the Township of Hillside. But I come as an African-American male, and my question is more engagement as it pertains to the African-American male in leadership from school all the way into career and into home ownership. We need to have more home ownership because of the wealth gap that's in our community. So these are things that, this is the question that I have, is how can we as the government and in these communities within our churches become more intentional in this regard? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hardy. All right, number 16, please. Good evening.
Hello, my name's Amber Reed, and I'm here for AAPI New Jersey, a statewide nonprofit advocating for the rights and well-being of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. As a trusted presence in our community, a community that's long held disproportionately little political power, we've had a lot of community members coming to us unsolicited. This is not what we do, we're not OPIA, but they've come to us with reports of bullying, intimidation, conflicts of interest, permitting and procurement processes that have been tilted in favor of political insiders. So drawing on these experiences, we'd like to share some recommendations. First, transparency and data collection are the foundation of any serious anti-corruption effort, enabling public participation in compliance monitoring, helping law enforcement and state agencies identify patterns and problems, and allowing for corruption prevention and detection at scale. But New Jersey data sets relevant to corruption, many of which are fragmented across multiple agencies, still need to be digitized, centralized, made searchable, and accessible. For example, financial disclosure forms for state legislators. Currently, they're only available for 1 year, the most recent year. They're downloadable one at a time as PDFs, some of which are handwritten. Contracts on NJ Start and a different website are somewhat searchable but hard to read and understand. We need to start laying the groundwork for a system that could merge multiple data sets so that, for example, conflicts of interest and procurement could be seen in one place by journalists, the public, law enforcement, and other stakeholders. And we can start to lay this groundwork by sharing guidance and training now on open data standards for the agencies that produce and maintain those data sets critical to anti-corruption compliance monitoring. For example, they should all be downloadable as flat files in CSV format. They should include multiple years. And we need to start including unique identifiers for reporting entities to facilitate the eventual merging of the data sets. That's probably the most boring paragraph I've ever said in public, but it's important, right? It's not just gold bars and clauses that we need to think about. I will submit the full testimony by email, but I would also suggest New Jersey follow the lead of states like New York and establish a beneficial ownership registry for all entities doing business with this government at a level above a certain threshold. We could also use things like lobbying disclosure forms to try to pull out more actual information. Sometimes under lobbying purpose, they just write legislative lobbying, which is not descriptive. They could be naming the bills that they're supporting or opposing. Finally, the OPIA report corruption form requires, almost you to formulate the entire complaint yourself. We need to have anonymous reporting options that feel a little safer and more comfortable for people who know where the bodies are buried but are hesitant to come forward for fear of being identified and facing retribution. And finally, we need to just restart rebuilding the norms around integrity in New Jersey if we ever had them. And I have some suggestions for that.
Thank you,
I will
Ms.
follow
Reed.
up.
Be sure to turn in your testimony. Thank you. Number 17, please. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Zach Kearns, and I'm a resident of South Orange and a member of Voter Choice New Jersey, a volunteer grassroots organization dedicated to promoting ranked choice voting in the state of New Jersey. I'm here to urge the Commission to think through the ways the Office of the Attorney General can help support citizens who are trying to get the New Jersey legislature to revamp our electoral laws to encourage more voter participation, not discriminate against common law political parties, and permit alternative voting methods such as ranked choice voting, especially at the municipal level. It is at that level where quality of life issues have immediate impacts on people's lives and where such reforms are sorely needed. There are many New Jersey municipalities in which mayors have been in power for over 25 years and accountability is sorely lacking and corruption is the norm. Specifically, VCNJ is meeting resistance from legislative leadership to even have the Municipal and School Board Voting Options Act discussed in committee. We need the Attorney General's and this Commission's support to push that. The bill gives local governments and voters the option to adopt ranked choice voting for the municipal and school board elections. It is not mandatory. It gives the voters a right to initiate such change, and it is a practical tool to strengthen democratic legitimacy and rebuild trust in the electoral process. More and more New Jerseyans feel their votes don't count, that elected officials don't reflect the will of people, or that the system isn't working for them. In crowded elections, candidates may win with less than 50% of the vote, sometimes just a third. When this happens repeatedly, it raises doubts about fairness, especially at the local level, where decisions directly impact lives. Ranked choice voting addresses this. Instead of picking one candidate, voters rank them by preference. If no one gets the majority in the first round, then the last place candidate is eliminated and these votes are redistributed, and this continues until a candidate has majority support. This simple change brings real benefits. First, it ensures majority winners, restoring legitimacy. Second, it reduces strategic voting and the spoiler effect, letting voters choose who they truly support. Third, it encourages civility. Candidates must appeal beyond their base to earn second choice support. And finally, it boosts voter satisfaction. In places such as Maine, Alaska, and New York City, voters report more trust in the process and the outcome. Some critics worry that ranked choice voting softens accountability of candidates, but we believe it enhances accountability since more candidates are willing to run and more voters are willing to vote for them, not just the anointed winner or the incumbent. If you've been watching the New York City mayoral debates, you've seen their candidates pulling no punches when debating each other. Ranked choice voting doesn't eliminate disagreement, it reduces zero-sum campaigning and demonization, hopefully eliminating recent political violence that has been occurring. Again, the Municipal School Board and Voting Options Act doesn't impose ranked choice voting, it simply gives communities the chance to try it, to improve turnout, representation, and trust in the elections that are closest to voters. Such a voting system aligns directly with your mission to strengthen trust, transparency, fairness, and innovation while respecting voter choice. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kearns. Number 18, good evening.
Good evening, members of the Trust Commission. My name is Parul Kemka, and I'm here as a parent and advocate deeply concerned about the lack of transparency in how special education disputes, specifically those involving individualized education programs, or IEPs, are mediated and settled in our state. In New Jersey, when families and school districts disagree on services for students with disabilities, the state encourages mediation or settlement before going into full due process hearing. On the surface, this sounds efficient and collaborative, but behind closed doors, critical issues are being quietly resolved with little oversight, no public data, and often at the expense of long-term accountability. Families often sign confidentiality agreements, essentially gag orders, that prevents them from sharing what happened, not just with the public, but even with other families in the same district facing similar problems. These settlements may include services for one child, but they do nothing to address systemic failures affecting many. And let's be honest, the power of imbalance is real. School districts often come to the table with lawyers. Parents often don't. They feel pressure to accept incomplete solutions because they're afraid of retaliation or can't afford to fight longer. When that happens, the district avoids scrutiny and no one fixes the root cause. We don't know how many of these cases are being settled. We don't know what issues are being resolved, whether it's denial of speech therapy, placement inappropriately delayed, or outright failure to follow the law. And we don't know which districts are repeat offenders. That's why I'm urging this commission to take up this issue. We need a public, anonymized database of mediation and settlement trends, independent monitoring to flag patterns of abuse or non-compliance, and the end of forced confidentiality clauses that silences families. Transparency is not about exposing sensitive personal information, it's about restoring trust and accountability in our public systems. Families shouldn't have to trade silence for support. Our students deserve better. Thank you for your time, your commitment, and rebuilding trust where it's most needed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kemke. I'm going to ask 19 through 22 to come forward. And 19 can come straight to the mic. 20, 21, and 22, please come forward. Okay, good evening.
Hello, everybody. I first want to congratulate the Office of the Attorney General on your 10,000th interaction for Arrive Together. That's just phenomenal. And we want to thank you also for fighting for us in court time and time again, whether it's the Bruen decision, Glock switch, going after the Glock switch Glock themselves, and also trying to get back some of the funding that was taken away illegally from us in the state, such as community violence intervention funding. So thank you for all of that. My name is Jeannie Stifelman, and I'm the lead for Moms Demand Action in New Jersey. We are an all-volunteer organization dedicated to gun violence prevention, specifically advocacy and organizing for and in communities most impacted by gun violence. We are survivors, advocates, and we work at local, county, state, and federal level. We have many partners in government with whom we enjoy strong and trusting partnerships, such as the Office of the Attorney General. But we also know that there are root causes to gun violence, including poverty, joblessness, lack of access to childcare, or community services like aftercare and extracurricular activities. Yet time and time again, we hear from our CVI partners, community violence intervention partners, that money does not reach the communities and people who most need it. Barriers such as complex grant applications and/or red tape in receiving funds after grants have been granted contribute to dollars not reaching the organizations and people in the communities doing the work of violence interruption. We have also heard of state dollars dedicated to programs such as preschool, aftercare, et cetera, going to communities where these funds are not desperately needed and does not trickle down into communities such as Salem City, where they are most needed. So how can we work together to break these barriers? And how can we keep county commissioners and other politicians from allocating funds to their upper middle class communities instead of to the communities who are most in need? And I want to also say, completely off topic, but something that was said here today, and this is not me as Moms Demand talking, this is me as a 7-year Board of Education member in my community of Randolph. I would like to talk to you at some point about the weaponization of the School Ethics Commission and ACT. It is really hurting school boards and causing a rut in communities where you're getting good people to want to step up for those positions. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stifelman. Number 20, please. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Yana Mermel, and I'm a mom to 4 kids, one of whom has been horrifically abused, injured, and nearly lost her life. I don't have a written testimony on me, but I have a visual aid, which I would like to share with you. members of the committee as well as the audience, because I have made it my mission to make sure that at least individuals in our state, people in our state are familiar with what's happening in our state. So you'll see 4 quadrants here. They're all depicting my child in one way or another. I'll turn it around to the audience so that you could appreciate my testimony. Right here we have a door that is locked and secured by a rope to a banister across the way, very medievally. My child is inside this room. She's nonverbal, she's disabled. In this square, you see my daughter, who has lost a tremendous amount of weight. If this image were black and white, I could have fooled you and said that this was from the war times, from the Holocaust era. You could clearly see her ribs. In this image, this is a portion of my daughter's leg, entirely bruised. This image was taken in an emergency room at Monmouth Medical Center Hospital. And here my daughter is on a ventilator fighting for her life. She's dying. This particular night, I have 4 children in total. Her siblings came from all over, the furthest one being in Washington, D.C., where he was attending college, to say goodbye to their sister. I don't know, Parul, if you want to just... Thank you. If this were to happen to anybody in our state, the law enforcement would get involved. I had approached Ocean County Prosecutor's Office, and despite their empathy, they were not able to do anything for me. I had reached out to the Attorney General's office, and I was told that unless the request comes directly from the prosecutor's office, they will not be getting involved either. The matter was deferred to DHS. DHS does not employ police tactics. The extent of their investigation was to interview the perpetrators, simply stating, have you done this? Have you locked this individual? And the answer was no. After waiting for over a year on their findings, the findings came back as unsubstantiated. I'm echoing here my colleague's earlier testimony. Most of these cases come back as unsubstantiated. So I would like to ask for your help, please. My daughter has rights, just like all of us, and she nearly died. So I would like to get your involvement, please.
Thank you, Ms. Mermel. Come this way so we can hear your full story. Thank you. Number 21, please.
I'm so sorry, ma'am, that happened to your daughter.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Melissa Miles, and I'm the Executive Director of the New Jersey Environmental Justice Alliance. NJEJA is an organization founded in 2002 to protect New Jersey communities from the impacts of the legacy of industrial pollution here in New Jersey, more recently climate change impacts as well. Our staff and board were involved in the passage of the Newark Cumulative Impacts Ordinance, as well as the New Jersey 2020 Cumulative Impact Law. I'm here to talk about the multi-state guidance affirming the legality and necessity of environmental justice initiatives recently issued by A.G. Campbell out of Massachusetts. So this multi-state guidance affirms the necessity and legality of environmental justice initiatives. The guidance reinforces that despite the Trump administration's recent efforts to brand these critical activities as illegal, public and private entities can still lawfully engage in environmental justice work to ensure a healthy environment for all people to live, play, work, learn, and worship. The guidance is directed to the country, state, tribal, and local governments, county, state, tribal, and local governments, nonprofit and charitable entities, businesses, and neighborhood-based groups that are currently engaging in efforts to restore and protect environmental and public health, with solutions that are informed and improved by the lived experiences of thousands of communities. Through its guidance, the coalition stands ready to implement and enforce the nation's laws to advance environmental justice, and will continue working in collaboration with communities and organizations to support and defend these efforts across the country. Considering all that's been done by your office, A.G. Platkin, around environmental justice, I was a little bit surprised to see that New Jersey hadn't signed on, along with California, New York, Arizona, Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, Illinois, Maryland, Minnesota, Rhode Island, Vermont, and Oregon. So my question is there any plan to join this coalition? And even more, is there plans to engage with New Jersey's EJ leaders to discuss a similar effort focused on New Jersey? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Miles. As 22.
I don't want to, we're happy to offline with you.
Thank you.
I was actually with AG Campbell on Monday. We're very close. Sometimes there are very state-specific reasons why we can't join a multi-state guidance, but we continue to prioritize our EJ work, most recently with the largest settlement we've ever had in state history, the PFAS settlement. We're continuing to push that, but I very much would like to offline and discuss ways we can help get that message out.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Miles. I'm going to ask that as 22 comes forward, 23, 24, and 25 may come as well. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, AG Plotkin and Commissioners of Trust. Trust in government and public confidence in elections is diminished when we fail to uphold the fundamental right to vote throughout the process of election administration. At voter registration, when the Department of Motor Vehicles does not properly instruct or otherwise bungles new voter registrations or updates to voter registration, including as it relates to party affiliation. And at in-person voting, when a voter is, for some reason, not on the rolls, although they believe in good faith that they have registered and updated their registration. And again at the courthouse on election day, when those good faith voters appear and provisional ballots are eventually tossed due to prioritization placed on Motor Vehicle Commission's affirmative proof of what a voter did or did not do, which more often than not is too little too late. And when that prioritization takes precedent over the voters' attestations under oath of their intent to register and to vote at that current election. In the election canvass period, when voters are not proactively informed of how to ensure that provisional ballots be counted, or they're not even notified whether their provisional ballots or vote-by-mail ballots are counted. And when a provisional ballot is tossed but counted for future elections for the purpose of voter registration, this minimizes public confidence in our systems. All voters should be proactively informed and afforded the opportunity to cure. We need to modernize our election systems. Trust in government is broken when a voter takes the effort to appear at a courthouse, but every institution present offers a different legal argument for disenfranchisement in different courthouses across the state, and where no institution is singularly vested with protecting the right of that voter themselves. Public confidence in elections is impeded when municipal wards are gerrymandered. We need to amend the municipal ward law. We need to finally bring New Jersey into the 21st century and pass election day registration and same-day registration, which will cure a lot of the problems I just listed. Public confidence in our elections and ultimately in government is impeded not only when districts are gerrymandered and communities of interest are an afterthought, but when our ballots are also gerrymandered. We need to bring good faith voters into the electorate to participate. In New Jersey, we have 4 pre-registration for 16 and 17-year-olds. We need to ensure implementation on the local level through partnerships with county clerks and high school administrators and with grant funders for funding for youth to engage among their peers in voter education and voter registration. We need to pass the state version of the Youth Voting Rights Act, a bill which I architected. We need an ethics bill, and we need public financing.
Thank you, Ms. Bromberg.
Of approaches. Thank you.
If you can write it up, type it up, and we'll make sure to take it. Thank you. Number 23, good evening.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Shabri Dow. I'm a proud Monmouth County resident and a lifelong educator with over 2 decades of service in New Jersey public schools. And most importantly, I am the parent of 2 incredible daughters who are both neurodivergent and first-generation Americans. I speak tonight not only as a professional, but as a mother deeply invested in the future equitable education in our state. I respectfully urge your office to remain unwavering in its commitment to protecting the principles of diversity, equity, and inclusion, particularly within our public education systems. These values are not political talking points. They are the foundation of a safe, affirming, and high quality learning environments for all students. We are watching a troubling national trend, one that seeks to censor accurate history, dismantle DEI initiatives, and erase the experiences of historically marginalized groups, including people of color, women, LGBTQ+ individuals, people with disabilities, and our veterans and multilingual learners. New Jersey has long been a national leader in both public education and civil rights. That leadership must not waver. For families like mine that are not, this is not an abstract issue. It is deeply personal. My daughters thrived when they saw themselves reflected in their classrooms and supported in inclusive policies. When DEI is undermined, their access to opportunity is too. So I call to your office to, one, defend the Department of Education against any political interference aimed at weakening inclusive curricula and rolling back equitable school practices. Protect funding for K-12 and higher education programs that support culturally responsive teaching, support services, and DEI initiatives that benefit all learners, especially those from traditionally underserved communities. Proactively investigate and challenge any local or statewide actions that attempt to suppress accurate history, restrict inclusive education, or marginalize vulnerable children. Our students fully deserve the truth, our educators deserve support to teach it, and our communities deserve schools that reflect the diversity, dignity that New Jersey has promised. So I thank you for this opportunity to speak this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Dow. Okay. Number 24, and then if there's someone that any number that I missed, please come forward. I'm looking for Ahmed Shadid. Okay. All right. I don't think I missed anyone else, and so before I turn this back over to the Attorney General, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for voicing everything that you needed to say and being respectful about it so that everyone after you could also be heard. I really appreciate that, and we all appreciate that. And so I'm going to turn this over at this time back to, wait a minute. Yes, ma'am? I missed you. Come right on up. And just state your name when you come on up. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Pastor Birchforth.
Okay, Pastor.
And I'm the pastor of Faith Christian Center Church in the city of Newark. And one of the things I'd like to bring to the commission's attention is that what makes people not feel that they can trust you is how laws change. I'm 81 years old. I remember when the African American community had a underground economic system called numbers, and how many people were number runners and got arrested. Y'all too young, y'all don't know about that. And these people then grew up having a record. Fast forward, we now have the lottery. The lottery is based on the numbers running, okay? We then have a situation where in the African American community, I'm speaking of that community, but we had a lot of people selling marijuana, all right? People got arrested, people went to jail, people have records. Fast forward, we find that now New Jersey is getting tax money off of selling marijuana and setting up some marijuana stores. As a pastor, where my church is, I see so many people who come to me who have records because back in the day when they were 15, 16, 20, 25, 26, they got arrested and did time for marijuana. So what I'm saying is that if you're talking about dealing with commission and trust, when we change these laws and take things that were formerly illegal and make them legal, we should also think about all the people who are now walking around with records. So hopefully you might want to give some thought to those kinds of things. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor Bridgeforth. We're so happy we got that last comment in. So everyone, thank you. I bid you adieu, and I turn this back over to Attorney General Platkin.
Well, first of all, Pastor, just on that last point, make sure you connect with us. So in the marijuana, there were a couple of different laws that were passed when cannabis was legalized. One of the things they did was do automatic expungement, which in New Jersey, it expunged offenses as if it never occurred for very limited circumstances. So if somebody's record was not expunged and they're eligible, we actually just implemented we automated our systems and processed well over 100,000 expungements in order to speed up the process. So would love to connect with you, and if any of your members need assistance, please make sure you connect with us after. So thank you for raising that. I just want to thank you all. First of all, I want to thank Pastor for welcoming us again into this beautiful church. I want to, of course, thank our commissioners who are, I should have noted if I didn't, in case it wasn't clear, they're doing this out of the goodness of their heart. We're not paying them an hourly wage. We do have water, Hetty reminds me. And as Hetty knows, longtime representative of state government, that's pretty good by state government standards. And I have to thank Lindsay, who I can't believe I neglected to mention at the beginning, who is first assistant to me, and frankly, I wouldn't know left from right without her, so I have to thank her. And of course, please give Patricia and Whitney a huge round of applause for moderating. But the biggest applause belongs to you all. I think I was with, I talk about high school students a lot, but I was with a group of young female students who were getting sort of a girls' state this week, and was talking to them. And, they're growing up at a time, I think, when folks are just so cynical and don't believe in government, and justifiably. I mean, I can't say it's not justified in many respects. And I wish they would have come tonight. I really do, because, what you did and what we're trying to do here is, I think, the antidote to that cynicism. Now, it'll be on us to take what you've told us and do something with it. That's the obligation of those of us who have positions of authority. But I commend each and every one of you on a rainy summer night, when there's a lot of other places you could be, for coming here and making your voice heard. And for this commission's called Trust. It is an acronym. It's a little complicated, the acronym, so don't ask me what it stands for right now. But the fact that you have... Thank you, Stacy. There you go. It's right behind me. Yes, I knew that was going to happen. But I thank you for trusting us enough to come and know that we will listen. Trust me, I have pages of notes of follow-up. And for those of you who didn't share and want to, our folks are available tonight or otherwise. And I hope you will follow what this commission does. I'm extraordinarily proud of the 12 members of this commission and our staff who are devoting significant time to this. And this work will go on. We're not going to solve this problem with a report, but I do hope this report and the work that we've done in the office will contribute to a state that we can be proud of, and one that hopefully at some point we're not talking about how trust in government is at historic lows that we haven't seen in well over a century, and we're talking about how people have renewed faith in government, in a government that works for them. So I thank you all for coming. Hope you all have a very happy rest of the evening, a happy 4th of July, and I'm sure we'll be seeing many of you soon. Following the data privacy law. It's a great recommendations. Hey, how are you? Yes, you were good. Yeah. I'm sorry that my ethics rules are no fun. I assure you. Yeah. Yes, would love that. Yes. Yeah, let's do it. Definitely. Let's do it. Thank you for coming. Do you live in South Orange? Oh my gosh.
Can I hand?